Hello, everyone, and welcome to another BITREP TNG. That's our rapid-fire Warhammer 40k battle reports with commentary. If you hadn't noticed just yet, I'm Tyler.
What's up? It's Lucas.
And we are bringing you today a really fun game here of Genestealer Cults versus World Eaters. Now, you've seen me play in GSC all the time. You hear about it on the podcast and whatnot. And if you haven't, check out our podcast, Best in Faction, The Next Generation, on this very YouTube channel, or wherever good podcasts are found. But Lucas over here, generally Orcs and occasionally Chaos Knights. What's the deal with the boys in red?
Yeah, I decided to try World Eaters out. They're really fun. They're also really powerful for teams. And I mean, Team USA already has an amazing World Eaters player, so I won't even pretend like I'm going to take Anthony's seat. But it's just good to know a little bit more about the army and what it can do, especially in the teams format, where it's even more powerful than it is in singles, just because it scores so well. So I just figured I'd try World Eaters out and kind of see what they play. I took my own kind of little spin on it based on some input from some World Eaters experts up here in the Northwest, just trying some new things out, throwing a couple guns in, which we'll see had some good effect in this game. But yeah, World Eaters really fun, and eager to see how they perform against the forces of the Hive Mind.
Sweet. What's the build?
Yeah, so it's got the same core as what Vanilla's been running for the last little while. So it's got Invocatus, obviously, with his ridiculously amazing Warlord trait. We've got 4 squads of Khorne Berserkers with Eviscerators and Icons. We've got 4 3 and 3 8-bound with the 3 damage Sergeant weapons. We've got 3 squads of Exalted 8-bound with the 3 damage Sergeant weapons. We have 3 single Chaos spawn, 2 Rhinos, and then after that we get into the interesting bits in the list, which are 2 World Eaters Rapier Heavy Bolter Carriers and a single Tzeentch Knight with the CP refund, and his Dreadblade trait is Precision Cruelty. So 6 is to wound deal an additional AP and damage.
What kind of knight is he?
He's an Executioner, so he has the 2 autocannons.
Spicy bit of anti-vehicle shooting. We'll talk a little bit at the end about how we feel about the list in particular, but that's what he's running. I am running something a little bit funky here. I was taking 30 bikes, Ix and whatnot, did really well at Rosehammer with that. That list is fantastic. No notes, doesn't need any fixing. But Eric Lathuris comes out and says, hey guys, check out cars. And I had to try them. So I've been playing with no bikes, all cars for a while. Been playing with bikes for a while. Wanted to try out something kind of in the middle. Because man, oh man, are there some fun things that you can do with bikes. And there are also some fun things you can do with cars. So we got a little bit of each. So this list has some of the normal GSC stuff. It's got a Primus. It's got a Nexos and the Sanctus. And it's got the Reductus with the Relic. And those are all the support. And a Kelermorph. And then it also has a Patriarch with Prowling Agitant, which is real fun. I think that'll be really useful in this matchup here. Lets him move 6 inches after someone declares a charge against you, which I really like. And also just he's got Psychic Stimulus, so suddenly I can actually fall back and charge a little bit maybe, or advance it and some charge and whatnot. So that's kind of cool. There is no icon word, though, as there often isn't with the truck builds because she's really best for the bikes. There is 1 squad of bikes here is what I settled on. So I've got the 10 dudes, and they've got that came from below, which is the best upgrade in the book, in my opinion. On those bikes is the best place for it. Sorry, Pure Strands, you're just not good enough. Got the standard core of 4 squads of 20 Neophytes with icons. I've got one with 3-inch Deep Strike, one with Treatise Crossfire and Exposed upon arrival, one with 3 dice drop the lowest for charges. Love all 3 of those. They've all got icons, seismics, and Webers. Man, oh man, are we going to see that Webers are not what's up in this matchup? And then we got, I think it's 3 squads of Acolytes, 5 dudes with a double demo charge on one of the boys there for some explosive output. And then trucks-wise, we've got 1 Goliath Truck and 2 Goliath Rockgrinders, all with caches of demolition charges. And the grinders have seismic cannons. And then we got my boy, Moses. You can see him up there. He's the only model deployed. My my lovely little scout sentinel up here. He's doing the Lord's work. This is not his game, but
He's really makes it.
Yeah. So that's those are sort of the lists. You want to talk about deployment real quick before we jump in? Or before deployment, what are we playing here?
Yeah, this is Tide of Conviction. I think it's table 1. We more or less randomly determined this mission.
That's WTC tables for those of y'all who may not be super familiar with that.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, pretty interesting board here, all things considered. It's relatively closed. There's a lot of ruins. There's a lot of the long faces of the ruins are facing each other. So it's like it can be difficult to actually get a bunch of angles, but it's obviously Dawn of War, so we're engaging on a lot of fronts, and there will be opportunities for Tyler to shoot me over the course of this game for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I think particularly of note for this mission is The 4 Necron circles that you see on the table, those are the infamous WTC vents. So those are light and dense, but not difficult. And then also in between those vents, we have the sets of crates. Those are going to be really interesting. Obviously, they give me a great place to shelter behind because Tyler has to come all the way around to see me and shoot me. But also, they don't give light cover. Or, I mean, crates do give light cover, but functionally not really once he's got an angle on me. And I also have to go around them. So a lot of interesting dynamics, especially with how central those crates are. They're going to play a big part in this game.
Yeah, they're a real funny trade-off because they provide you so much good defense, but at such cost to have to go around. I really like that.
Yep.
So yeah, like Lucas was saying, these circled in blue, these little Necron-looking things, those are part of the terrain, not objectives. We're playing Tide of Conviction, so the objectives are these 6 right here with the little USA logos on them. So that's enough of that. Talk to me about, and we should also mention Windows-wise, because the train is not quite WYSIWYG.
Yep.
These 2 Ls, the ones that are on our home field objectives, are 3 stories tall of no windows, and then the rest of these Ls, these ones, these ones, these ones, these ones, and these ones. Oh, wait,
that's not quite right. This
There's
blue one, how do I delete?
Just go like that.
So the red ones are solid. So these 2 have the same orientation. Those are both solid and technically 3 stories tall. And then all of the other ones, so the ones that are more or less not in your DZ, those ones all have windows.
Gotcha. Sweet. So with that in mind, what's your deployment looking like right here?
I just didn't want to get blown up turn 1. I'm going to be honest with you. So my most important units in this matchup are the Berserkers because they have the best shot at carving straight through a whole squad of Neophytes. So I've decided to shelter my Rhinos pretty heavily and then also set up for some good pregame moves, which you can see I'm in the process of doing right now over on the right, getting some 8-bound, a little bit at field, securing that right-hand objective, which is my relatively safe objective in the midfield, just to make sure I have that one locked down as well so Tyler can't come steal that from me. Because the 8-bound can do the pregame move. They can also do the 6-inch heroic, which means that as soon as I'm on that objective, I more or less have control of it for the whole game.
Yeah, especially with 2 squads there. I can turn off heroics from 1 squad, but certainly not from both.
Yeah.
Cool. Deployment-wise, I'm doing some pretty normal GSC stuff. There's a bunch of things in blips that you can't see.
You have 1 model on the table?
Yeah, 1 model on the table, which is Moses right here, my Scout Sentinel with Heavy Flamer. I went back and forth between deploying him basically in my DZ right there and deploying him all the way up here. I think I'm not sure why he's there and not like there specifically. I didn't want him to be super far up. Oh, I know why, because I didn't want him to get charged. I wanted him to get some blip protection here. If I park him up here, which, I mean, you can kind of more easily visualize over here behind the crates what that looks like. There's a little bit of an objective there. That forces Lucas to come out and play with that objective and would force some commitment from him, which would be nice. But it also gives him the potential to slingshot. And what I did not want to have happen was have Lucas go first, maybe standing in that place, Ace, and then Lucas, because pregame move a bunch of stuff up down on the line here, and then YOLO into everything, and suddenly he's starting his turn 2 right there, top of 2, and I'm just getting wrecked.
Yeah.
That seemed real bad. In hindsight, I think this was a mistake. I think I totally should have let you do that, and I have the explosive damage with all the trucks to not have to worry about that too much, because I've got this really nice angle. I'd obviously get to come in from my own backfield, turn 1 with the from every angle truck. The truck has from every angle, by the way. You'll see, listen to the description. So there was an ability to punish that. And instead, he's just sort of out in the, like, he's not accomplishing anything there. The hope was that if I go first, he would run up there. But I want him, but like, at that point, it's too late. I want him to start the game there. So that's a mistake. And you'll see why in a second. Take us away through your first turn here, Lucas.
Yeah, so World Leaders get to go first. So I'm just doing a little bit of pregame moves. Not going to get super aggressive here. I just want to put enough forward that Tyler feels incentivized to come forward, kill some things, and start making sure I don't get an 8 immediately, because going first is obviously great for World Leaders. You get all the tempo, all the board position, but you don't have the safe primary at the end of the game. So I want to try to get as many primary points as early as possible, and I'm going to try to facilitate that by dumping a whole bunch of units right onto this objective to really try to get Tyler to come forward and clear me off of that guy.
Yeah, the primary here is really where this game is going to be won and lost. We both have excellent secondaries. Speaking of, we should run through our secondaries real quick.
Yes.
You've taken Blood for the Blood God, Pile the Skulls, and Prisoners. Prisoners is a classic. It's really good against GSC. This list doesn't give up quite as much as some others, but still tons. Pile the Skulls is free 15.
Yep.
And Blood for the Blood God, kill 7 melee. It's going to work out pretty darn well.
It should.
if you're not getting that, you're not playing the game.
Yeah, I might actually not consider taking Blood for the Blood God into the Bikers and Neos list just because it has, I think it has maybe the same number of characters, but it doesn't have the vehicles for me to take advantage of as well. Blood for
Or
the Blood,
5-man or as many 5-man squads.
right? Blood for the Blood God really, you want to take it against MSU and especially mixed builds that have some vehicles, characters, and squads, so you can really like triple dip on that.
Definitely.
But yeah,
I've got Ambush, Brood Swarm, and Grind Them Down. Ambush and Brood Swarm, GSC staples, super easy. I can't not score like 25 points on those. Yep. And then Grind Them Down here is something that I've been trying to take more often because I do so much damage with troops. Getting the CP out of that can be real big. And also, you have a lot of MSU and I have a lot of bricks. So I'm thinking turns 1, turn 2, turn 3. Very possible that I can pull that off. And get a decent amount of points while grabbing some CP in the process. We'll see how it actually pans out, but that was the theory going into it. Also, it's not like you give up, like your prisoners count's got to be like 8, 9?
No, it's actually pretty good. It's 12.
Oh, it's 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. 12 is a risky though, because that means those last couple of wounds are worth a lot of points.
Yes.
And that's one way or the other. So you're looks like you're taking some pretty defensive maneuvers. What's up with this rhino over here? Usually you want to go forwards.
Yeah, he didn't really have space to hide behind this building right here, which is ideally where I'd want him, because if those 8-bound step out, they're going to get shot. And as much as I want the rhino in the forward position, because it has obsec in it, it's obviously very high value near the objective. I don't want my rhino to get shot. And the from every angle truck with the Reductus inside. Very, very good at killing a vehicle, such as a rhino, just a light little 10-wound piece of junk. Would be super easy for her to blow up. So I decide that discretion is the better part of valor, despite my my playing world leaders, and hide the rhino for a turn. I figure it's safe to just keep it back for a turn so that I don't lose Khorne Berserkers right away.
Sounds good to me.
And go ahead.
I'm annoyed by this play, but it's the right play. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely don't want to get shot. The great news about that from every angle truck is it's very mobile with where it can come in on turn 1, but it does have 24-inch range. So if I can get Tyler to, even if he's in range of it on the turn he drops in, if I can have another unit close by that can respond to that, then we're golden. My plan is to set up on this objective with enough units that Tyler has to commit something real to clear me off of it. I have 3 Exalted 8-bound. They're in the vent, and I have a spawn as well on there. So 2 different units. So it's going to take some real commitment to clear you off of that. And then everything else is just hiding for a little bit. I do have a shot lined up with my Sentinel on good old Moses. And my Sentinel.
I was going to say, I wish that were a Sentinel.
My knight's on your Sentinel. And hoping to take him out with them autocannons.
Yeah, you can see I'm finagling here back and forth on how hard I want to commit. I have to decide right now because basically I'm debating where to put my bike squad with they came from below. Right. Because they want to come in, and they're the best thing, obviously, to deal with the stuff on the objective. They get there, they can get in, they can get out as well. They could fire and fade if I decide to go for that. And they just have really good profiles to deal with this stuff. They can also, I'm thinking about right here, if I kill the 8-bound, I could charge the spawn and probably kill him in combat. Certainly a demo in combat would do that. So what I've set up here with these little markers, and I highly recommend doing this if you don't already in your games, is setting up lines of sight on the table. This is honestly something I picked up doing in TTS when you can draw on the table, but just saying, hey, here's the line. This is the line of sight, obviously, of his autocannons right here, because while I acknowledge that Moses is getting his brains blown out, I don't need him to pick up 4 bikes instead. That would be really bad. So they're going to show up, and they're going to pregame move up to behind that wall such that they're not getting shot at. Other than that, the Patriarch is over here chilling on his own, ready to go stand on this objective and be pretty safe while doing it because of his 6-inch move from the Prowling Agitant. We've got a Grinder over here with a Kelermorph and 5 dudes in it. We've got a Grinder over here with 5 dudes in it. No Kelermorph. Started the Nexos on the table, which was a bit of a decision, but I decided the bikes are going to want that. And the Primus is next to him as well, so that these bikes are going to get maximal efficiency going in. And I'm just checking here real quick to make sure that... Oh, it looks like my turn. You blew the hell out of Moses. He's dead.
Yeah.
There was no way around that. Does that get you Blood Tithe?
It does. Blood Tithe is just units being destroyed.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's silly.
That was 2 Blood Tithe because he's a vehicle, and also because Moses is a 5+ wound model that does exalt the knight as well. So now he has an auto 6 once per battle round. That's hit, save, or wound roll. which is going to be extra money with precision cruelty. It's a new Dreadblade trait I'm trying out. With ranged weapons, 6s to wound are an additional AP and damage. So those autocannons go to AP 3, damage 4, and I get an automatic 6 once per turn, which is honestly not horrible. It's pretty good at picking up light vehicles, medium infantry, that kind of thing. The kind of things that an executioner wants to shoot at, it just makes it better at shooting those things.
In the future, let's wear some kind of footwear. They don't need to see the dogs quite as much as we were getting a minute ago there. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a real clutch. Here I am setting up some of my stuff, doing a lot of pre-measuring here, because if Lucas ends up with Berserkers charging my things and standing on my objectives, I'm going to be real annoyed about it. So I had the Acolyte squad. I'm going to have them end up getting out and standing over here. See, I'm going to measure that a little bit. Obviously, I should have done that in theory before the truck moves, but we're talking about a 3-inch move, a 3-inch disembark, a 6-inch move, and a D6-inch advance. I'm not too concerned about the specifics. This grinder is set up to get the most intense angle possible on that spawn over there, trying to be as safe in height, in sight. He's just trying to be as far back as possible, basically. Right. I probably should have been more concerned about this guy, frankly, and driven him further this way, because I've got advance remain stationary. I think I could have been pretty out of range of the Zerks there from a pretty safe position. Also, though, I don't think I really mind Zerks charging the grinder.
Yeah.
Especially if I just keep it a little bit further off the objective. I just kill you better than you kill me. Mm-hmm. And that means the Zerks are not charging anything else. So decisions were made. Kelermorph was hopping out just to get some free shots, because he's going to shoot and get right back in that grinder. And the grinder's going to do something pretty similar. I decided to hold off the From Every Angle truck this turn. I think I probably should have just left it as a blip and had it come out to come dance and be annoying at distance, and then ready to have some explosive damage when the time comes. But we end up holding back real far. I think this turn I probably should have brought it in, like, I don't know, honestly, right here, just to be on the table. It's not doing a ton from any of these positions, really. This would also not have been terrible, but I don't know how much room there was for it, given the spawn being over there. Bikes are flying up the table, getting ready to take on some of these Exalted and the spawn. The Nexos puts the token on the Exalted. The Nexos plus Primus give the bike squad real ones to hit and to wound. So we're just going to get in there. We're going to blow this whole thing to hell. And I'll be a little more fussy about the measurements a little bit later. But the plan is to shoot here and then fire and fade back around the other side, such that I end up on this side of his objective, which should make charging a little bit harder. Now, of course, these guys are way up here, so 7 inches back isn't crazy. But my concern from this position, because I needed to get all the way out here to get as much angle as possible, is Lucas running out here, charging these guys from here and then consoling this way, and basically getting to do a ton of damage to me without me being able to hit him back. If the bikes are here instead, at least then he has to come all the way up over here, where I get to actually trade for that unit. Right. Gets really good value for this bike squad, because I only have the one, so I want to get as much money for it as possible. What do you think about this turn one?
What about as I expected? Obviously losing. We're going to see I lose everything that's on that objective. It's about what I expect. Tyler does have to spend a lot of CP to do that. I think it was max shots, and plus one damage and fire and fade. So it's a 4 CP combo. Denies the 4 points. Fair play. But I got what I want out of that at the end of the day. I did get him to commit a resource. I also got a CP steal out of that whole endeavor. And I'm also going to get to kill the bikers, as we'll see in a moment, or do my best attempt at least. He's moving back a fair bit, but I do have a large number of 8-bound right here, and they're all moving either 9 or 11 inches.
Yeah, you're getting to me for sure. There's no way
to get there. Yeah, it's just a matter of how I dodge Overwatch. Mm-hmm. So yeah, not overly disappointed with how the first turn went. You're getting a bunch of Brood Swarm and ambush points here, as GSC do. I just have to accept that happens.
You're getting a bunch of blood tide this turn.
That's true.
Like the last time we did World Leaders in GSC, Tanner was technically piloting the World Leaders, but Lucas was helping him a bunch. I did my absolute damnedest to not hand out over a single blood tide point turn one, and I think that worked out really well. This game, I said, frick it. Who needs that? I killed all 3 spawn, and I killed a squad of 8-bound, and I lost a vehicle on my own turn. So you're sitting at what, 6 Blood Tithe right now, going into top 2? What do you think about that? Do you think that there's something that I should be trying to deny, or do you think it's just fine to just get everything dead?
1, 2. I 2 for the vehicle, and then 1 for each of the squads. So I think about 4.
I killed 3 spawn.
Oh, you're totally right.
You're at 6.
1, 2. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that is definitely not ideal. Because the calculus here has to be these bikers are almost certainly going to die, which is going to give me 7, which is all I really need to set up for the early game. That gives me +1 to charge for 3, and that gives me 6 at Feel No Pain for 4. Activating the 6 at Feel No Pain before the drop turn is super, super good, given all the 2 and 3 wound models in my army and how much 2 and 3 damage Tyler has in his army. It just makes the math super awkward. And yeah, the sooner you can turn on that defensive buff, the better against GSC.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I think I had to kill this spawn if I'm going to pretend to hold primary here, and you're going to end up being able to knock me off of that. But just to even to have a chance, this spawn I think I probably could have left alone.
Right.
But at the end of the day, how much does that accomplish for me? Like that drops you. I can drop you 1, and I don't. Maybe over here I don't like.
Maybe I just get one of the 2 buffs. I can either have +1 to charge or the Feel No Pain, and I probably just go with the Feel No Pain and accept that the charges are a little more awkward.
Yeah. So what would you think then instead about sitting all the way back that turn and not committing at all and saying if you want to come knock me off objectives, you're gonna have to send units to do it?
Yeah, that'd definitely be interesting. I think the issue there is you're giving me an 8, which is, obviously not the end of the world. But as we can see, these 8-bound have a very easy advance getting over here. Invocatus gives them +2 move. So I'm also getting a 2 on the tertiary this turn. I'm denying you 4 points on the primary. I'm starting to put more forward pressure on you. And yeah, your drop turn is really going to hurt because I won't have the Blood Tithe buffs. But I feel like at that point I have the positioning advantage. So it's a little bit of tit for tat. It'd be interesting to try that style instead. Yeah. But yeah, definitely would be interesting to see how that would do. Rhino's moving up. Wants to get on the objective for the aforementioned reasons that I talked about last turn. Just having the OBSEC near the objective, super good. I feel like with 3 8-bound and 10 Zerkers over here, that is sufficient to kind of lock down that side of the table for the time being. It's definitely a little sketchy not having any OBSEC immediately on the objective, because obviously if the Rhino doesn't die, Berserkers can't control the objective. And Tyler's going to take good advantage of that next turn. But I figure if he steals the objective from me, it gives me something to kill in the following turn, which is really what I want. And then the last thing we're doing over here is just bringing in some of our glorious rapier carriers, which are in outflank, baby. They're just going to plink away at that truck that's over there, given their glorious 36-inch range, and we hopefully doing some damage. So
this being a shooting armor, you're of course sequencing your shooting perfectly and starting with the low damage thing with the vehicle before the high damage.
Exactly, yeah. Big brain. And then, so Rapier did 1 damage there, and then here comes Executioner Knight, who's going to pop off King and just annihilate the truck.
That was rude as hell.
Because that's what he do. So yeah, a bit of a poor sequencing for me, because obviously the heavy bolter should have shot the guys inside, but I just completely monkey brained that one. Amazing. But yeah, the important part of this turn isn't the fact that the truck died, although obviously that's great for me. It's that this tag team is going to happen. The Berserkers and the 8-bound are going, or the Exalted 8-bound rather, are going to go kill the Bikers.
This ends up being an actually brilliant piece of sequencing. You set this, the melee of this ends up, you set it perfectly. It's almost like you played combat before.
It turns out that I have. Yeah, so just doing a little bit of nice shooting. Great to crack the truck. I'm just measuring some charges here to make sure I know what I'm going to do before I roll it. One of my biggest pet peeves is people that roll charges and then they're like, oh, I didn't know this piece of information. I'm gonna go back in time and fix everything. So just want to make sure I'm doing everything in the right order, which is Zerkers get a 3d6 charge with the glorious icon. Put that on every one of your squads, people. So they get 2 guys on that objective and steal it from Tyler. And then 3 of the guys will make it into the Bikers. And with -1 to hit and 6 of Feel No No, you're mini transhuman, right?
Mini transhuman, no feel, no pain.
No feel, no pain. Even with just 3 of them fighting there, shouldn't really kill more bikers. Shouldn't kill enough bikers that the Exalted 8-bound don't get to fight. Because the quads are right here and 3 guys are right behind them, it's going to be I have to spike up super hard to pull myself out of combat with those Exalted. So my theory is, the Berserkers go in, kill 2 or 3 of them, and then the 8-bound go in and clear out the rest.
Yeah, and without an icon on here, I don't really want to pull those quads anyway. I would absolutely love for them to be big chill in there. Obviously, there's a 4 they can't fall back, but that's a risk that I'm willing to take at that point.
Yep.
Because I'd really like to have them shooting at those Berserkers because they fall back and do all their nonsense. It also would mean keeping the 8-bound back, and like I said, I want the 8-bound forward, but I don't need them that far forward.
Yeah,
just far enough that I can take shots at them. And we discussed this for a while. There's a lot of math happening to make sure this is the right play, and yeah, it works perfectly. I think you end up killing unit at like 2 low wound.
We get them down to 1 guy with 1 wound left who dies to morale. Sad blood for the blood god noises.
Yeah.
But yeah, not the end of the world, honestly.
Your blood for the blood god ends up looking real sketchy because of nonsense like this.
Yes, where it's turn 2 and I still haven't killed anything in melee. Yikes.
Call yourself a World Leaders player. Khorne would be disappointed.
It's true.
But yeah, very cool. I definitely should have put more Acolytes on that objective. I think there's room for it. Yeah, you got a couple guys here, so I definitely could have had a couple guys there. I just wanted them as far back as possible to make the charge, so the Berserkers were not charging them with the 3d6 charge. That's just something I kind of have to respect. But one way or another, we're taking care of score here, and it's time for things to get spicy.
Spicy time.
So let's talk about what I should have done this turn. I correctly identify a lot of the weaknesses that Lucas has set up, and then I immediately spread myself way too thin, getting too excited because there are too many things to take advantage of here. This is a problem that I run into a lot with GSC, and that is like one of the biggest things I'm working on, is seeing all these different plays and saying, okay, we're doing 2 of them.
Yeah.
Because I really want to like kill every single unit and take every single objective.
But that's just not feasible.
It's not feasible. It's not realistic. If it were feasible, the armory would be ludicrous. When it is feasible, like you were already winning that game by a mile anyway, so why even bother?
Right.
The big weakness that Lucas has right here is this situation right there. Because Lucas's thought process, as there, like he said, is he wants OBSEC in the Rhino. So if I kill the Rhino, the OBSEC gets out. He wants 8-bound there so that I can't just run over and mess with him. So I need to solve both of those problems, which are don't kill the Rhino, do kill the 8-bound, do stand on the objective. And there's a little bit of flashbacks here to how we usually play in Votan, in that this Rhino full of Berserkers is only scary as long as the Berserkers can get out. So what I should be trying to do here is absolutely obliterate these 3 8-bound with no uncertain terms, set up my trap sprung squad here, or they can be involved in the annihilation of those 8-bound, and then charge forward and wrap this Rhino. So the objective is mine for sure. That's easy. And because I'm going for a wrap here, I can stay out of heroic range over here, though also these 8-bound shouldn't be that hard to kill. And then get some OBSEC over here. And now I'm holding Lucas to a 0 because it's Tide of Conviction. It's domination. You don't need to, I don't need to hold you to 0 objectives. I just need to hold you to 1. I'm even holding your backfield, so I'm denying your CP there. And these Berserkers are turned off next turn. So if I kill these 3 dudes, and maybe these guys, just because at that point, you have no real way to threaten in this direction, right? And this thing's wrapped. That's the game-winning play right here. That's the setup here, because now this objective is everything's blue right now. Because then this objective is safe. This objective is semi-safe. I should put Neophytes back here who can obliterate here and hold this down. So that objective would be pretty securely held. Here's our buddy Tanner arrived and wanted to show off his Tau. So there's some reinforcements.
The table.
Yeah, apparently. But that objective would be safe. This objective would be fairly vulnerable. Which is fine. But if Lucas is pushing this direction, he's not pushing toward multiple objectives. And he would probably have to come back this way anyway, because the only units he would have available to him are the stuff on these objectives. That is the correct way to play this. Instead, we're going to try to do everything. The Kelermorph, I think this was the right play. He moves up here. He's going to shoot through the windows here and get some damage into there. The Acolytes take a shot at advancing to get far enough up to this thing. If I want, I could throw an advance and charge on them with either a spell or a CP. I'm not going to do that. Just because this charge is really big and it doesn't really accomplish that much. But if I rolled like a 5 on the advance, I think I could have thrown my demo. I'm playing advance remain stationary, people, so don't worry, it's allowed. I know it's a grenade. But they're just going to come up here, and then they are going to threaten countering onto this objective, because, again, if the play is done correctly and there's nothing here or there, or then he runs in, gets something on, and then my Acolytes get to just walk onto the objective and take it from it. Would be really great. I like their positioning a lot. Here's are some of these squads showing up in the back. I do also set up an 8-inch over here as sort of a contingency plan in case this doesn't work out, so I can charge over there. There's no reason not to do this. This is the thing that once you realize as that it's a thing you should be looking for. You see it all over the place, which is just redundant charge options, because you never know. Sometimes you overkill a thing you were trying to kill. Sometimes you don't kill something you wanted to kill and you want to charge somewhere else. Have as many options as you can. We're going to set up some stones over here. This is my other big tip for especially for newer GSC players. Visualizing where you can and cannot deep strike is really hard. And so unless you want to buy like 30 widgets, I highly recommend using something other than dice to mark out where you can set models up. If you use dice, you're going to pick them up. You're going to get confused. You're going to think they're wound markers. You're going to think they're for rolling. Like, I love my little stones. They're dirt cheap, and I shed them. Like, and I don't care about them because whatever. But anyway, so we're going to try. So here's the squad as described. That part is right. And then this is where things are going to go a little off the walls. Also, obviously, to deal with this, but that should be pretty easy. I've got a grinder right here. The dudes here have a demo charge. The grinder has its various output that'll be real effective there. The Patriarch is back here. In the correct version of this play, he should walk over here and be ready to pinch hit in one of these two directions. Which is something that he's real good at, cleaning up little scraps here, especially because he's so dang fast at 8+ D6 in charge and psychic. He'll be casting Smite and Psionic Blast this turn, which is real good. But we get greedy, and I decide the Patriarch is going to handle this squad of Exalted on his own, which is ambitious, to say the least. My thought is I can probably kill 2 of them and then tank the Exalted to the face. I've got a 4-up invuln. I've got a CP 4 defeat. I have 7 wounds, and you're what, damage 3?
Damage 2.
Damage. With the
damage 3.
He's damage 3. If you want to spend, is it 2 CP to go to damage 4?
Yeah.
If you want to spend 2 CP to go to damage 4,
then sure.
Cool.
We're still flipping coins with the 4.
Exactly. We're flipping coins, and if he doesn't spend 2 CP on that, I need to fail 3 coin flips for him to go down. Yeah. And he has how many attacks?
6.
He's got 6 attacks. He's wounding me on 3s because I'm baby transhuman.
It's unlikely.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe. And then I would get to fight next. So that squad is good as dead. Because you can't fall back and do anything, so you have to send something else in, yada, yada, yada. I don't think that's a great plan, but I don't think it's the worst thing about the plan that I end up going for here. Right. It ends up having the worst results, but I don't think that was a problem with the plan part of it. I think that's a problem with the dice part of it, which means it is a problem with the plan part. But anyway, Truck's going to show up over here. This is the From Every Angle Truck. It's going to show up and touch this. WTC is kind of crazy in that there's a lot of pieces of terrain that you can touch off of Strat Reserve, which is not something I'm used to seeing a ton of.
Yep.
It's going to try to kill the Rhino. And you're thinking, why do you want to kill the Rhino? Like, it's a Rhino, who cares? The reasoning for that is that I have 16 Webers in this list. And a Weber, if you haven't played it before, it's a D3 blast gun, 18-inch range, and it does not roll to hit and it does not roll to wound. Instead, for every shot, like a gun,
like a normal weapon,
I just roll a single dice, and if that dice exceeds the maximum strength characteristic of models in the unit, that unit takes a mortal wound. Now, this is ludicrous into something like Eldar or Admech, where they have a lot of resiliency potentially, but none against mortals, and their strength 3, and there's a bunch of dudes. Squad of Dire Avengers, squad out of Rangers or Vanguards, big squad of I don't know what else there's big squads of, but real good stuff.
Rangers, Vanguard, like you said.
Rangers,
anything
Vanguard,
that's blastable and strength 3 is just
slaughtered.
Yeah.
Now, World Leaders, 8-bound, Exalted 8-bound, they're all strength 6. So it does literally nothing.
Yep.
The Berserkers, though, are strength 4.
Strength 5.
I thought it said, did we say they're strength 5?
They're base 5.
They're base 5. They're base 5,
yep.
Which means it can do something.
Yeah.
And this right here is a folly that I fall into all the time, which is in my pursuit of efficiency, I end up putting myself in some really weird positions. In that I really don't want 4 dudes out of each squad to have a useless gun that does literally nothing. So I'm going to set up the only play that involves them getting to do something here, because I want to get maximum value out of that unit. And that sounds really good on paper, right? You want max value out of your units. But what that max value is I need to kill this rhino over here that I'm not really going to be able to devote substantial resources just to getting onto. I don't have a great angle of exposure coming from this direction. That's just not real. And I'm only 24 in range, so I'm not getting them from this direction where I could set up an actual angle of exposure. Yeah, and you're right here, so I'm not showing up there. There's just no way to get exposed on it. It's the moral of the story. Without some major overcommitment that I can't really even see myself from here. Stop rolling dice, bro.
I'm testing the Vanguard Tactics dice.
Anyway, so the hope is that I will kill this rhino, and then these webbers from this squad over here will be able to shoot at the occupants and actually do something with the webber.
Right.
This is a massive waste of everything. There's no reason to be doing this.
It's like 2 mortal wounds for both of those squads.
Yeah, I killed 2 Zerks. And we're basically going to trade away 2 Neophyte units here in pursuit of this, as opposed to putting them in the correct positions. Now let's start with the other massive mistake that I ended up making this turn. So we're spreading ourselves too thin here, that's for sure. The plan that I had, the thing I have in my mind at this point, is that I'm going to kill these 3 dudes, this rhino, some amount of the dudes inside of this rhino, this squad of Exalted, this squad of Exalted, this squad of Eightbound, and this squad of Eightbound.
So you're killing my whole army this
I am tabling you in a single shooting phase.
Nice plan.
If your plan is table your opponent in this shooting phase, and you're not, like, even if you're playing GSC or Iron Hands,
better have some insane math to back that up.
Yeah, and also, it's just a bad plan.
Yeah.
Because it means there was a better plan available where you killed slightly less stuff but are in a better position, and you chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are some matchups where you have to go for the killing blow, or if you leave anything around, you're just in big trouble, or just the amount of commitment required to deal with anything means you also have to deal with everything. That's sort of like a reverse threat saturation kind of situation where you find yourself going deep. Mm-hmm. Probably in that situation, you shouldn't go deep at all, but you're going for it. This is a bad plan. So and then in addition, here's a little hoot for you. I am going to do this with 3 squads of Neophytes because I'm going to leave the 4th squad off the table.
Big brain.
Incredibly intelligent decision on my part. I want to leave the squad off the table for a couple of reasons. The first is I don't really see an incredible spot for them. They basically have to show up right here. And I'm just not that jazzed about that because everything over here I feel like I have a decent plan for. Why exactly the Patriarch doesn't just run over here and deal with this situation and then be standing on this objective while the Neophytes are the actual thing that deals with this, I don't know. And how exactly I'm planning to kill the squad of Eightbound other than a singular Kelermorph with that exposure, I don't know. These were things that should have merited some amount of thought. But I'm being a little harsh on myself. This is overly ambitious, but I want them back partially because of this positioning, but also partially because I want to guarantee my ambush points next turn,
right?
Because I know that Lucas's secondaries are insane, and setting up true exposure can be a bit awkward. So knowing that I'm getting the 2 points for that unit killing something on the turn they arrive is going to help out a lot.
Yes.
Spoiler alert: it doesn't work like that.
Nope.
For some absurd reason. Well, this paused. I don't know how long ago that paused. Anyway. So that's what's going on here. We are overcommitting. We are putting. I do not hate though that I'm putting most of my resources on your back line, insofar as it means that to deal with me, you have to run in the opposite direction.
Yep.
Mind you, to make that plan work, I need to kill these 3 things as my primary targets, 2 of which I simply have not set up to kill in this particular positioning. I really enjoy doing these barrows because I can see all of these big picture things even more obviously than I can see them in the moment.
Right.
When I realize that these are some mistakes here. But yes, that's the plan. We psychic down one of the Eightbound. I think we psychic the other one down to 1 wound. Mm-hmm. So I am feeling shockingly confident about that plan.
Yep. Because
my Patriarch is strength 5. He rerolls all wounds. He's putting on the emblem. He's 2 or 3 damage. There's a very real chance he just aces that squad at this point. That would be real great. So nice job, psychic phase on rolling well there. We're double checking all of the alignments here to make sure that we actually have shots in the right places. I think, and we blow this squad to Kingdom Come. I think that was the perfect ambush target, maybe.
Yep.
Which feels nice because it means that his home objective is going to require additional support. Perfect ambush squad probably should have done this, but neither here nor there. We got tokens going out. We then go to blow this unit to smithereens, and we leave the sergeant. He ends up surviving. That's 4 up influence for you. Mildly annoyed, but it's just kind of how it goes. And then we set up to shoot at the rhino, which is the most important thing. And we leave it at 1 wound.
Yeah, something like that. I think it was 4 wounds.
4 wounds?
It was wounded.
It's wounded, but it's definitely not dead.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a massive bummer because it means those Wyverns are not even going to do the silly thing. Like, this was such a bad idea. But anyway, what else is going to happen? This truck is eventually going to come in and finish the job here. The Acolytes are going to just, like, wreck these dudes. The Kelermorph does a little bit of damage over here, not a ton, but some. The Acolytes huck their demo charge at these dudes. I think they end up killing 3 or 4 of them or something. They do a good amount of damage to the point that I'm confident that this Rockgrinder can charge in pretty comfortably. I know that he's not going to do much damage to me on the interrupt, so he's probably not even going to bother.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm comfortable with 2 different charges happening here into World Leaders, which is not always the case. But here it feels all right. So the Rockgrinder is then comfortable shooting down here and picking up this last Exalted because, man, oh man, would this guy love to just walk over and obliterate one or both of these tanks.
Right.
So let's not let that happen. But the big oof is that I don't know what the play was here. I think I was a little bit tight on CP because I spent so many early on that I didn't have the CP to treat these guys as exposed. Or maybe
you had the 1 and you did it and didn't have the reroll for the charge, which was the sketchy part.
Yes. Yeah. I had to make that commitment, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
Where did I use +1 damage?
The perfect ambush squad shooting my 3 guys.
That was the wrong move. That should have been these guys. But anyway, as you can see, I kill 1 8-bound over here. I needed all of those dead. I needed multiple squads worth of commitment there. This squad being at 8 made me feel like I couldn't put anything else over here, but that's just not true at all. The 3-inch squad could literally be inside the wall right here, really comfortably. Just charge around them, slash through them, leave a little bit of space. And that would have helped a lot. But no such setup is to be found. I can put a 6-inch squad in here. There's nothing in there. Yeah, what am I doing? This is the perfect ambush squad should have shown up right here. Been the thing that obliterates them. These guys is probably end up shooting this way, or honestly even that way. There's if there's a bead for it, or maybe we go 3-inch squad here, perfect ambush squad here, because that was the 4-man too. That's probably a better allocation of resources. Collectively take this down. Maybe we throw some shots. But it's this way. I don't know that I need even a single squad over there, much less 2 squads. Maybe I probably want one here instead to move block you simultaneously. Anyway, we can think about how this should have been executed. So the council let's focus on what did happen. These guys are left alive, which is a bummer. But we have our backup plan. So we're not entirely out of this. We'll get to charge up this way, still yank some objectives over here, at least tag the Rhino, which will keep Lucas somewhat in place. Obviously, wrapping is way out of the question here because we're not going through those 8-bound. We go for our charge over here. We go for our charge over here. So if things go right at this point, these will all be dead. This unit's still chilling here, but that's what's happening. I'm going to pause. But that's not the end of the world. I think if these 2 units die right now, I don't think this is an awful position.
Right.
I think it's not ideal. It's not great. These dudes in particular are a problem. These dudes in particular are a problem. Boxers to get our rounds are going to be a problem. But like we can make do with this situation. We've still got some gas in the tank because we've got the squad in reserve and whatnot. But what ends up happening is not quite that.
Right. Yeah. You do end up landing the charge despite the lack of CP,
hit the 8. Yeah.
Yeah. If that doesn't happen, this definitely falls apart immediately.
Yeah. 8 on 3 dice, pick the 2 highest is like a 60-70%.
70.
Yeah. So it was definitely a risk, but at the realizing how misallocated my resources were, I figured it was a risk that needed to happen. Because if I don't, the whole plan was contingent on this squad dying, and I had messed that up already. I really wanted to, there's a because if this play happens, it's not lights, but I'm in a really good position from there.
Definitely.
And I think it was worth the risk of, if we can get at this treat as exposure, if we can knock those dudes down, and we can get the wrap off, sure, I'm not ruling a charge, but like that was the path forward, and that's the path for a win instead of a small loss. This is in theory team's play, so maybe that's not actually the right call, but I was feeling it. So this is where I start. So the grinder goes in, and so you already see it. My Patriarch whiffs entirely.
Yeah,
he does 0 damage.
He wounds. No, there's an unwounded guy, so he puts one of the dudes down to 1.
No, I thought he was already down to 1.
I 4-upped an idea of the spell.
You 4-upped an idea of the spell. So
yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So Smite killed one of the dudes, and then Patriarch comes in, does 2 damage, and then gets clobbered.
That's a bummer. Yeah. I mean, that's the nature of us coin flipping at each other. You coin flipped a little bit better than I did. Yeah. Though also you definitely had I had the advantage again to coin flip first. You had the advantage in terms of I had to make a lot more coin flips work or go my way than you did for that to work out.
Yeah.
So this is bad. This is really, really bad.
Definitely.
If I spike and my Patriarch chills there,
definitely pretty. That's solid.
Yeah, that would be just fine. But I think I roll 0 out of 5 4-up invulns.
Yeah. Just
to add insult to injury.
Man's dies.
He's about to evaporate. The grinder over here, I don't think he quite gets the whole squad. I think there's one dude left. Which is also silly, but that's how it goes. 8 attacks on 3s and 2s. You have a 6-up save?
It's a 5-up save, right? Your AP2?
Oh, well, AP2. That's right. Okay, that's not unreasonable then. But in doing so, I do get on the objective to contest this one here, which is really nice. Not necessary at all. It literally doesn't accomplish anything. It's just to flex because I've already taken these 2 out from under you.
Put me on.
No, it's necessary because you're holding this objective. Yeah. Okay, never mind. Yeah. Very necessary. Good play, Tyler. That was actually the right call. Yeah, so that's nice, and it also means that you're going to have to do something about that situation if you want that objective to work out for you. Yep. It may seem very tempting to have this beautiful squad of 8-bound walk around and uppercut this truck into oblivion, but Lucas unfortunately...
It definitely was.
Annoyingly, Lucas can see the Matrix a little bit better than that and sees that there might be a better play available.
Ooh, there's some rats hiding behind there. You can't see them, but they're hiding behind there. I'm going to get them.
They are, to my credit, on the very back lip of the objective to be as far from the action as possible. Unfortunately, these things move 9.
Yeah, won't save you from the wrath of Khorne. So yeah, this play ends up working out. You get the wrap on the knight, you get the tag on the rapier, you steal both objectives from me. So that's definitely very well done.
Some classic Neophyte shenanigans. If you're not taking the trap sprung squad right now, you are missing out.
Yeah, this is what the squad does. They're really good at it.
So fun.
Yep.
You see Innis is taking it now?
Yeah, it's very good. It's a solid unit. And so, yeah, definitely a scary turn. Let's see. You killed 4 Exalted. You killed 5 normal 8-bound. And you killed 5 Berserkers, which is, like, definitely pretty nasty. A lot of damage. You didn't put me on the 0 that you ideally would have, but, like, you were close.
No, I did, primary-wise.
Didn't I? Oh, no, you're thinking.
Yeah, that's contested, yeah.
That's right. So, do good a 0. But yeah, so we're definitely gonna look for max damage at this point.
Wait, it says you got a... Oh yeah, because you went first. You got a 4 turn 2 and then a 0 turn 3. Yeah, so 0 here. I'm also haven't scored any primary just yet, obviously, because you got 2 Zerkers over here and your pile of 8-bound over there to my single Patriarch. So that's going to be a 0 for turn 2. And looking at what's on my objectives right now, I don't think I'm set up to score primary turn 3.
Not exactly. Yeah.
This objective's pretty safe.
Relatively. We've got the heavy bolter coming in hot, though.
Oh, yeah. Heavy bolter's going to walk on right here. This is where some strat reserve shenanigans get to come into play here. He is 1.1 inches away from my unit here, which gives him barely the bead to take shots at my Acolytes.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out.
Yep. We got our 4-wound Rhino holding down the fort on that objective like a king. And then, yeah, we got a whole bunch of Neophytes to take care of in my DZ. And definitely need to make sure that I'm killing these units on the dot, which is going to be a little bit scary because they have baby transhuman and I have a ton of attacks. But, you know, I've spent all my blood type at this point on defensive stuff. And I'm going to have to start setting some aside for pileless goals, despite how ridiculous that secondary is. You do still need to think about it, sort of. But yeah, I don't really have the most offensive buffs right now, so killing these units is going to be a little bit dicey, as we're going to see in a minute. But I did get the Berserkers out of this Rhino and send them over this direction to mop some stuff up, which is going to be glorious. The other unit actually ends up running over here in order to grab that objective and keep taking 2 on the tertiary.
I think this is one of the best plays that you make this game.
Yeah.
In chess, you might call this like a prophylactic move, which is usually when out of nowhere your opponent moves his king like inside the castle, and you're like, "What the hell are you doing, bro? Like, what are the Khorne Berserkers doing? They want to run in and kill stuff, and you're instead taking a full like several activations to say that unit's going to go stand over there." If you go put something not OBSEC over there, that objective is back mine easily, and those are the units that I want to go after anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel real comfy with that situation by putting OBSEC over there in the form of the Berserkers that could, in theory, heroic if I decided to get a little bit too frisky. You are completely shutting me out from taking that objective back without full commitment to it, and that's just not a thing I can do. That objective is yours for the rest of the game, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Exactly.
As tempting as it would be to send those dudes over here with the rest of the Berserkers, or just into these guys to make sure that they're cleared out, boom, right there. Excellent move.
Thank you. So yeah, that was definitely saw blood in the water and wanted them to run into some Neophytes, but I figured the 8-bound are just like slightly worse into the Neophytes. I'd rather send the 8-bound into the Neos, get some OBSEC on that objective you have, and make sure it's mine for the rest of the game. And then over here, definitely can't see that behind there, unfortunately, but there's a Kelermorph and 5 Acolytes that are about to get 8-bounded, which is going to be glorious.
Yep, they were a fantastic second wave in the world where nothing could go over there. Unfortunately, a little bit can go over there.
Yeah, they did go bye-bye. And here we had Invo and 5 Berserkers take care of the front rank of Neophytes. Tyler did the cool little play where he move blocked me and made sure that I wasn't going to get any charges on the back squad, which was very smart. And did mean that squad got engaged, and there's going to be no way for them to like fall back and do anything next turn. But it does ensure that they live and they're OBSEC, so it's going to be nice to have the unit around for the late game. And they do end up sticking around.
They do, and they're also, so the other benefit of them being there is that completely means that you're tied up there.
Mm-hmm.
If I let you kill both of those units, that's a full extra turn of activations of you getting to run in the opposite direction. Mm-hmm. And they're absolutely you're going to be able to do good damage to them. But as we'll see, A, I get a turn to do stuff in the middle. But B, just not even getting to console means that this objective is a wide open target right now. Whereas if everything here died and these guys console back that way, that's just not real. That's not real. So we'll see how it works out. I've got my 3-inch squad to come in here. And as Lucas said, the 2 Exalted run in there and just obliterate my 2 characters. If I had just killed just one more, it would have been
would have saved the whole character.
But anyway,
I don't even know if that's true. I think Sergeant Man could.
Well, I could spread them out at least. Though I didn't. So to my discredit there. So the 3-inch squad, we can't leave that there. That's not going to work.
Right.
And also, I am at this point in time thinking about how to preserve my own resources. So the 3-inch squad is going to come in back here. This 5-man squad. How do I?
They end up getting in that truck.
They get in this grinder. Yeah, they're going to run over this way, get in the grinder, which will enable it to throw its capture demolition charges, and it'll mean that I have OBSEC in a transport on this objective in a minute, which I really like. In the meantime, the 3-inch squad is going to drop in here, take their place to make sure this objective is locked down. I don't think you're ever going to take me off of that from this position. There's just nothing for you to do it with. And then they're going to shoot these guys down. And that's going to get me 2 points for killing a unit on the turn I arrived on ambush, which is about as much as I can ask for right now.
Ambush is getting a little sketch now because
yeah.
I've killed the Nexos. And the Primus doesn't do anything for that, right?
No, just the Nexos is down. The Sanctus is still up. So he'll be able to help himself out here. But I'm also really confined to this sort of ring of table, which makes exposure lines really awkward to draw. So the hope is we're going to put some crossfire on this guy with the Sanctus. Or maybe even the truck or what have you. This guy's going to come around and charge it, kill it in melee. And by killing it in melee, I'll still get the 2 for killing a unit that has a token on it. I got to charge it because I want something on the damn objective. So that would be 2, and then this unit dying to a thing that arrived this turn will be 2 more. So 4 points. I'm missing out on a point by not having an exposure lined up, though I do have an idea for how to make it happen. Doesn't work, but it's a really cool idea. We'll get to that in a sec. But that's the hope there. on how to make sure the ambush is still happening. Brute Swarm is automatic right now. That's just we're scoring a 15 on Brute Swarm this game because we got a 2 turn 1, a 5 turn 2. I'm definitely gonna outnumber you in my DZ and on the table, and that's and in No Man's Land that's another 3. Like that's just not getting stopped. Grind has not been going so hot. I got a turn 1 because turn 1 you killed just Moses and I killed 5 units. Honestly, that's the real reason to not kill the spawn.
Keep them around.
Keep them around for grind and ambush and be like, these are now way easier.
Yeah.
But I digress. So that didn't go so hot, and I have only scored that 3. Didn't score at turn 2, and here's turn 3. And you killed a lot of stuff this turn, so I don't think I'm getting to this turn either.
I got like 4 characters.
Yeah.
So.
On the plus side, I'm getting CP out of it. I got a CP out of it turn 2. I'll hopefully get a CP out of it turn 3.
Yep.
Excuse me. But it's a little sketch. So here's that Rockgrinder coming around, going for that play we were talking about. And again, this is the vent. This is the objective. So that's why I have to charge, because I can't get onto the objective with just the movement. And I don't think I could even get onto the objective with an advance because I'd be in engagement range of you, which is fine. Like that thing, I'm absolutely going to kill that Rhino in combat.
It's a 4-wound Rhino, and your guy is designed.
I'm strength 8, AP 2, 2 damage. I can full roll to wounded vehicles. Yeah, if I think I end up using that strat there.
Yep.
Unnecessary, like.
But it bumps up the reliability.
Yeah, for sure.
Just to make sure you can get the tertiary points.
100%.
And then this rat squad over here hiding behind your head.
Oh, they survived!
Dude.
I think 2 dudes and then one of them ran
ran
around.
away.
Yeah, rolled a 3 up to keep my banner alive there. It was the first time in a hot minute that I felt like I had nailed my banner placement. I've had a couple games happen recently where I have not been nearly methodical enough about where the banner goes, seeing the whole matrix. But this right here was the ideal spot for him, and he got back a good couple dudes with seismics who are going to do good stuff here. Their goal is they're gonna show up, they're gonna take some good shots, and then they're gonna charge onto this rapier to do a little bit of damage to it in combat, but more importantly, get out of these 6-inch heroic intervention ranges of the 8-bound. There is no world in which I'm taking this objective, but I guess there was a world where I could have gone this way. Could have walked this way, charged the Rhino. I'm just not getting outside of 6 of you that reliably.
I think the only play is charge the 8-bound and the Rhino.
Oh, and just pile out of them.
And then go around.
There we go. That's what
it's sketch because you have I don't think you have the most models. So if the Rhino actually runs you over and it's got 4 attacks with +1 to hit, 6s explode.
For sure.
If it runs over a few guys, all of a sudden it goes to shit.
Definitely.
But
I think it was actually a better place. I think I have 5 dudes in the squad here. It looks like 5. Maybe even 6.
Actually, it doesn't matter how many the Rhino kills.
Yeah, because
as long as you have 1 guy on the
exactly.
Oh yeah,
I think that would have been a much better play. Easy to see that in hindsight, where we can see this position here. I think I'm looking over here.
Rhino continues to bite me in the ass. I guess I didn't want on the objective.
No, you did not. Yeah, and I mean that would have been a good amount of point swinging there as well, because that if I take you, you're going to hold this. In theory, you're not holding this. I'm holding those 2. I'm going to hold this, and I don't think there's a world where I take this, but yeah, that would hold you to a 2 instead of a 3. And I would be holding this as well. Yeah, that would have been real nice. That would have been 4 points right there. But didn't occur to me in the moment. Cool play. Yeah, there's nothing else that I could have wrote. Yeah, that would have been smarter. Anyway, so as you can see what's going on over here, I don't even know how technically this was done. The Acolytes here are going to advance down this way. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how? They can't advance and charge. They can only advance and shoot. Surprise, mother trucker. They got 1 CP advance and charge.
Yes, sir.
They're going for it. And I know what you're saying. Tyler, 5 Acolytes. They have 3 attacks each at strength 4, AP 2. How the hell are you going to kill 5 Berserkers with 5 Acolytes? Just you wait, mother trucker. They're going to throw a damn demolition charge in combat.
I can't fight on death because of funny wording.
Exactly. And they're going to take down that Zerg squad. Now, what I forget to do here, what I should have done here, is that all of my dang Neophytes, all 20 of these rats, fire their auto pistols. And I know what you're saying. How those 30 auto pistols aren't going to do any damage. These dudes, they're wounded on 5s, they have a 3-up save. I don't care. If I get 5 hits, that's a crossfire token. And that would mean that I have exposure here while using my shooting attack in the fight phase. And that means that if I kill, and maybe I even kill a dude with the pistols. With the pistols. And in that, I guess if I kill a dude with the pistols, that charge is actually a lot sketchier, but it doesn't matter. It would have been cool. That would have been a kill with exposure. That would have been an additional point on ambush. That 1 point doesn't matter. because it doesn't actually change the differential at all, but it would have been
funny,
really
right?
cool. Absolutely. Would have been very funny.
You killed my rapiers. You cruel man.
Yeah, I did. That's
Creatures.
part of how I'm guaranteeing my ambush points here. And trying to get some grind points out of this. It's not going to happen, but like I got to play for something. Yeah. Oh, she literally had 0 other legal targets. That's the Reductus, right? Because they're in combat. He's protected. This thing's getting charged. What else am I shooting at? Right. Unfortunately, I spend CP on flat 3 damage and throw every single gun that I have into the dudes up here.
Like what? Like 1 hit with the funny?
Yeah, I had 12 shots off my seismic cannons. Do I?
That was where you got 1 hit.
Yeah.
And then I've made the.
I got 1 humiliation. So I'm like, there's a dude and a dude with 1 wound, and do 4 wounds to a squad of Exalted.
Nope.
We do kill the solo dude though.
Yeah, those shotguns kill him.
Yeah, they kill him because if both of them are still alive, they win that fight.
Wipe out your squad.
But the sergeant on his own is not doing that.
No.
I'm also Lucas has positioned himself such that I'm not on the objective at the moment.
Yeah, because I'm right in the middle of it.
You put a dude right on the chip, as you've been taught to do in the past. So I couldn't even take the objective out from under him. I needed to just kill him off of it and be content with that. That's not what ends up happening, which is a bummer, because that means that Lucas is going to be holding this and this and this and this, which is 4. I guess it actually doesn't change anything, because if no one's holding this, you're still winning 3-2.
Oh, if you shoot me off. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think
this is the bigger deal. Yeah, that would have been necessary.
That would give you a 4.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. 4. Yeah.
Or actually, no, because you're not on that one either.
Yeah. So the Neophytes are like this.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
The icon is standing
1, 2 to my 1, 2. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So that's 8 points of primary if I make this play correctly and kill this dude.
Yeah.
Which dice are dice, but that was a big missed opportunity there. And cool that we caught that now. Like a lot of the other stuff was like, oh yeah, I can tell us in the moment. We didn't notice that play until just now. Very cool. So Acolytes come in, they do their job. They kill the unit of Zerks in fighting, fight shooting, fight shooting,
booming.
Yeah, whatever that is. They come in, they're doing great. Invo's going to run over. Lucas is going to completely abandon his home field objective because. Oh wait, no, he's not. Darn it! I was hoping. I was. Yeah. So what is going through your mind here as you're trying to sweep up the scraps? Because obviously this is your game at this point.
Yeah, I'm mostly ahead on the scoreboard. I just want to make sure that So the thing is, Blood for the Blood God actually hasn't been amazing so far. You did give me 2 points kindly on turn 2. Thank you, Mr. Patriarch. But I still only have like 6.
You have 6. You got 2 and a 4. Yeah.
So I want to make sure I get like at least 3 or 4 points for the rest of the game. Or on the other,
each turn.
Yeah, each turn for the rest of the game. So that's going to be cleaning up these Neos over here. That's going to give me a point. I am going to kill these Acolytes here. That's going to give me a point. And then, unfortunately, these Rockgrinders and characters are protected from me, and they give me the most points. So I'm just going to take out those 2 this turn and then hope for a big score on turn 5 as I clean up the scraps. I definitely also want to make sure that I lock this objective down, just to make sure Tyler can't take it back from me, and that's going to come in the form of that knight standing there. He's going to be a king and is going to blow the hell out of that truck. So that's 2 Rockgrinders and 1 Sentinel for him this game. He's just, he did amazing. What a lad. Would love to have a plan for those Neophytes along the bottom of the table. Unfortunately, I don't have a unit that can one-shot them, and giving the GSC free revives is just like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, free piles, free consoles, free revives. I'm not going to be in combat with you anyway. It doesn't accomplish
you can walk over on that objective if you want next turn. I'll accept that. And then that's going to get you killed by the 5 Berserkers that hop back in that Rhino. So yeah, just kind of cleaning up some units here, simplifying the board state, making sure that Tyler isn't going to get the most points in his last turn. Or in your second to last turn, I suppose, because you at the bottom of the turn. But bit unfortunate that I have to commit these Berserkers just to hanging out right here. I would love to have them in the fight right now, but with a 6-inch move, they're just not really going anywhere. So they're going to hang out on an objective and just keep scoring me some tertiary points.
I've been doing a great job at it.
They're doing a fine job.
I quite like that being there. Because if they run away, like even if they had a bazillion move and they run over here and they kill these 20 Neophytes, this objective I just walk out and take now. It's completely free.
Yep.
I don't like your Exalted Avian has 6 attacks. He hits on 3s. Or is he on 2s?
He hits on 2s.
He hits on 2s. Cool. He's got 6 attacks. He wounds on 3s.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye. Charge right past him and have a single squad hold this entire half of the table.
Yep.
But not so easy when you've got multiple models over there with OBSEC. I think I still do that maybe turn 5.
Yeah, until you get your 8 at the end of the game.
Yeah. So we're going to set up it up here. Try to accomplish as much as we can, get some decent points. Please tell me I walk this Acolyte this way and not this way. Please tell me I'm not that stupid.
You send him the other direction.
God damn it.
Hopefully
but maybe I move far enough that it doesn't. I don't know what happens here. I really hope that I set up exposure on this guy, because if I don't, that is deeply embarrassing in hindsight.
I think you do it this way, right?
Yeah, but the Reductus is the one that needs to shoot at him.
Mm.
And she can't advance while getting over. We'll see what happens. Anyway, the Neophytes are going to walk over. They're going to hold the objective. They're going to charge the Rhino. They're going to make sure that this objective gets taken, getting back in the process. We're just going to try to slow down Lucas's points here by whatever means we can. This is, what turn is this? This is bottom 4? Bottom of 4, yes. This ends up working out well. Hold him down to a 4 on primary, which Lucas, assuming that he gets his max overruns, which why did I give you a 6 on overrun? What are you going to be holding at the end of the game? I have you at a 6. Isn't it? I don't know. Don't worry about it. Whatever the case. Holding Lucas to a 4, that's going to hold him to like a 30 on primary, which feels pretty good. Because like we said, primary is where he's been hemorrhaging. Unfortunately, as a reminder, I have not scored primary this game.
Yeah.
At all. I've gotten a couple of 2s on the tertiary, which is real nice. But that's what I'm behind in. The secondary war is not even that terrible. Like the grind is awful. I have 3 points of grind. It's bad. But
we're both going to get 12 plus on all of our secondaries, except for grind.
Yeah. So but like ambush and roots, when we're doing just fine.
Uh-huh.
Next time I play this, in the usually I'm just going to swap grind for prisoners. That keeps it in, which makes this a primary game, which is what I was hoping it would be. And I've done a good job of keeping the primary somewhat mitigated.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, just not quite there because of the leaving you access to too many tools, which ends up with me losing too many objectives with this nonsense going on. But anyway, so we're going to show up here. Reductus. Oh, the Reductus runs over here, and I get the exposure that way. That's what I do. Everyone moves backwards. I like that play a lot, actually. Cool. So we'll kill this thing, and we'll kill it with true exposure. So we'll get another 4 on ambush, which brings us up to a 13, which is fairly respectable. We'll finish Brood Swarm this turn, because that's the benefit of this unit chilling back here, is that that's a 5 on Brood Swarm. So that's gonna be locked down. We take out the Knight, which is real nice. We have some OBSEC on this objective for the time being, which is cool. Charge the Rhino. Honestly, don't even really know what that accomplishes at this point in time, other than getting more OBSEC bodies onto objectives, I guess.
I think it just makes it easier for me to come and kill you.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like it slows down the Rhino, I guess. I don't know. You're guaranteed to get to me anyway.
I don't know why I didn't heroic those Eightbound into you. You were outside of 6. Must have been.
Must have been.
Because otherwise that would have been easy peasy play.
For sure. And I think turn 5 is going to happen pretty much.
Mostly.
Let's talk about what happened up here. This guy just walked back and stood on the outside of the wall, and because the wall has no windows, there was no way for me to get line of sight on him.
Right.
Just simply could not. Obviously, I'll take the objective back from him, but he's good to just chill there. I don't think he's got much to do. I honestly think he probably should have run away.
He just runs in and gets a bunch of prisoners points.
Oh, because you have the prisoner points. That's fair enough.
Because you're the mixed build. I actually want to make sure I kill all the models I can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you only end up with a 13 on prisoners when it's all said and done. So that's actually pretty valuable. If you don't have prisoners or don't need more prisoners at this point in time, at least, I think you probably want him to just run as far away as possible to deny the charge, because I'm not getting onto this objective without a charge. But yeah, whatever.
Small difference. Invo at this point has been spent the whole game in the backfield giving his charge buff for us, so he's ready to go charge out and claim some skulls for Khorne. So he's gonna go lop the Sanctus's head off. Oh my god, we're getting a nice view of Tanner's foot going absolute sicko mode. Nice.
Y'all gotta be YouTube members for that kind of content. You don't pay us enough.
Usually that's the different site, but anyway. Yeah, so he kills the Sanctus there, and then we are going to just barely manage to take out all of these Neophytes here. Khorne Berserkers with +1 to hit, and 6s explode, and 6s deal mortals are just glorious.
Yeah, you leave any of these Neophytes alive here, specifically the banner, and suddenly I'm taking objectives and scoring more bottom turn primary and tertiary.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest reason to again sitting further back than I was.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it sort of wraps up about as how you'd expect. Lucas kills a bunch of stuff. On my turn, like I said, I'm gonna have this unit come out and charge and stand on these 3 objectives, and that'll get me an 8 on end of game primary. So final score there, primary wise, Lucas is up 30-17, and secondaries wise, Lucas is going to end up at 40, 12 on Blood for the Blood God, 15 on Skulls, and 13 on Prisoners. And I'm going to end up with a 31, 13 Ambush, 15 Brood Swarm, 3 Grind. So final score ends up being 80-58, which in differential terms is a 16-4. Bit of a bummer. Definitely some opportunities to pick up a little bit there, especially with that. And then obviously the macro strategy didn't end up working out too great. But yeah, how are you feeling about this matchup at the end of this game? What do you think about this going forward? I know that stats-wise, this is the stat check stats would suggest that this is Giga World Leaders favored. I don't think that's what we think.
I don't think that's true. I mean, I definitely feel like the ball is in the GSC's court to not make any mistakes. I feel like if they get too greedy or play too recklessly, the World Leaders can just table them super quickly. Like we saw, even with all your setup on turn bottom of 2, I still killed like 40 Neophytes, for like between 40 and 60 Neophytes all in the course of one turn. Like it's super easy for World Leaders to just wipe out huge chunks of the GSC's army, and it's also very easy for them to score their secondaries. So I think it's more difficult to play the GSC side of the matchup, but I don't think it is as World Leaders favored as the stats would have you believe.
I would agree with that. I think in perfect play, it's fairly GSC favored. Perfect play is a long way from what we got to see here.
Yeah. I'd also be interested to see it on other missions, especially Hold 1, Hold 2 missions, because there's more of those in the packet right now. I wonder how that would influence the dynamics. Obviously, it makes holding my primary a lot easier, and you won't be able to steal as much from me, but it also makes denying you primary, which I did the whole game a lot harder.
I think I'm the one who's scrapping for primary a little harder than you are at this point in the game.
So we probably both end up with a few more primary points, but I think you get the leg up on that just because I really hammered your primary super hard. So if you just have one to hold in your backfield all game for a minimum of 20 points,
yeah,
very nice.
How are we feeling about the guns, right? So that's kind of the big controversy here about this World Leaders list. You've got a knight, you got 2 rapier carriers. A lot of people who seem to know what they're talking about say that's a really bad idea. Where do you fall, especially after the results of this game?
The first thing to note is that the knight is oftentimes just not going to be an option for teams. I think in singles play, the executioner can be really good. Getting some extra CP is nice. It's great to be able to just like do some damage to a respectable unit from range for World Leaders, which is just not a thing that they have otherwise. So I really like the Knight. For 8-man teams, you're almost certainly running Chaos Knights, which means that that's just not an option for you to put slot into your World Leaders list. For 5-man teams, I think you can actually run the Knight because Chaos Knights might not be as much of an auto take in 5-mans. So definitely some options there. The Rapier Carriers, less good than the Knight. Their mobility and their lack of ability to like pile in, consolidate, charge, advance, anything interesting means they're basically just coming in from outflank, shooting an opportune target, and then getting tagged or wrapped or shot. So it's nice to be able to have a little bit of firepower. I did bring in the 1 rapier here and took some shots at those acolytes. I mean, it was going through a forest, and you have 5-up saves and cover, so like a 100% wipeout is very unlikely there.
Mm-hmm.
But the part of the joy of the rapier carriers is they're just 75 points, and you just slot them into reserve, and you don't really care what happens to them, right? It's like if this play works out, it's like 10 to 20% probability. All of a sudden, that's a 4-point denial, and you don't have an OPSEC unit to go and hop in that truck on the later turn. So like it's just nice to have those little couple plays that might not always work, but just to throw a wrench in your opponent's plan that they either have to think about or just have to accept the risk that they might lose some points. So not 100% sold on the rapiers, but they definitely did some work this game. The one over here was a little bit misplaced. Should have been more conservative with that guy, not given Tyler a good charge target. But I'm going to try him out a couple more times because they have done some good work for me in the past. But the Knight is definitely an include for singles, in my opinion. Not expert opinion, but in my opinion so far.
The rapiers also have the benefit, as Tanner will point out every chance that he gets, that they are basically fat chaos spawn in that they are too blood tied that you are just offering up to your opponent.
Yes.
I think there are definitely some matchups where the output of them is sufficiently unimpressive or just unnecessary, where you just start them online and start advancing turn one and say, here they go. They
can't advance.
Okay.
You can just start them in the open and be like, okay, you're going to have to shoot this. Otherwise, I will shoot you with 24 heavy bolter shots, which isn't nothing. It also helps into a lot of those matchups of like, here's my like tricky, fast, weird elves that like try to, shoot you and then run away. Or, here's my annoying shroud runners that get in your way the whole game. And just having heavy bolters to walk in and be like, you're dead. Is super nice.
For sure. Very cool. Well, that's about all that we've got there. Definitely tune in to some future bit reps where we're going to be testing out some of this stuff more. I think I'm probably going to back off of this hybrid build here. It's a lot of fun, but I think at the end of the day, you really want to go toward one of the extremes a little bit harder. Yeah. And I think I personally prefer the bikes, but we'll see. Definitely come and check out our podcast, Best in Faction: The Next Generation. If you want to hear more about GSC, we've got a whole episode on World Leaders, not so much, but we've got other big episodes covering Orcs and Votann recently. We've got a whole bunch of big events. We've got a crazy late spring, early summer kind of setup up looking to happen, so definitely check in to hear all about that. And yeah.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Let's get a handshake.
Thank you, sir.
Again, man. And we'll catch you next time.
See you all in the next one.